It is not the strongest species that will survive, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. And that's a quote from Charles Darwin. How many intelligent people are in the house? Any chance? It is not the most intelligent that will survive. There comes a time where your intelligence will not save you, and that time is now. There comes a time where your 20 years experience will become irrelevant, and that time is now. A digital mindset, the children have it. It is us, the parents and the educators, that don't have the digital mindset. The kids and the education system are worlds apart. They were born in the digital era, but the education system was born in the analog era and has stubbornly refused to evolve. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. That is what keeps you and I relevant. Anyone who stops learning is outdated, whether at 20 or 80. So age doesn't count here. You could be 80 and your mind is still as sharp. Why? Because you're constantly learning. But for some people, learning stopped the way they graduated. Like, hey, school is over. I'm a graduate. And learning stops for them. In that case, you are the illiterate of the 21st century.
My question is, what else will it take? What do all of us as leaders, educators, education experts still have to learn, unlearn, and relearn? Fortunately, we have the perfect person in the room to guide us and inspire us. She's a global speaker and a leading thinker on driving innovation and digital transformation through culture. She's passionate about igniting human potential in an age of artificial intelligence, and she's here to challenge all of you one more time before you leave. Please give a resounding welcome to our final speaker for the summit and the person who will be announcing the winners of her autographed books. Thank you very much. It's Ms. Nikki Verd.
Everybody. Oh my God. Is there anyone in here? Hello. Oh my God. Okay, I know I'm between you and lunch. Okay. So, they say public speaking is one of the most difficult things. In fact, people are so afraid of public speaking than death. Okay. So when I say hello and you don't respond, it just increases my fear. All right. So are we together in the house this morning? I know you've been sitting for too long. Can I please ask if you can just stand up, look at the person next to you, and just smile? That's all I'm asking, so that you don't sleep on me. Thank you. I see some people are not standing. Just smile, just smile. Promise me you will not sleep on me. All right. Thank you so much. You can now sit down. Because I know you've been here the whole morning, and I am between you and lunch. There's a tendency to can you just finish and give us time to eat? So I'm trying so that we stay alive this morning. As I have been introduced, my name is Nikki Verd. I'm literally just coming from another keynote this morning, but it never gets easy either way. No matter how many times you're on stage, it's always nerve-wracking. Talk about being on the spotlight. Okay, I can barely see you guys, but I know you can see me. I'm very happy to be here. After here, I've had one this morning. After here, I'm going for another session. And this particular one is very important to me because I love education. And in fact, when I was writing my book, I've been introduced that I'm an author. In my mind, I was like, this is going to be one day textbooks in schools, But when the book came out, it took a life on its own. And it decided to land in corporates. And corporates, they really love it. But I still have that dream that it one day ends up in schools. So me having an opportunity to be here at the DBE Data Summit, it's quite humbling for me. And so thank you to everyone who made this happen. This is really humbling for me. I speak in so many places, but when it comes to education, I'm pretty much very passionate, extra, on the topics of education. And so, as I have been introduced, has anyone, by the way, read my book in the house? Okay. Anyone heard about Nikki Verd before today? Okay, I see a few hands. You know, sometimes I joke and tell people, I always think I'm so famous, right? So when I'm asking these questions and all the hands are not going up, I'm like, what's going on? Are you living under a rock or something? How come you haven't heard of Nikki Bird? But anyway, after today, you can no longer say you haven't heard of Nikki Bird, right? Yes, because that is being changed right now as we speak. I'm very passionate about bridging the gap between people and technology. Because on one hand, all these emerging technologies are happening, and there are some people on the opposite side. It's almost like this does not concern me, you know. So my work is to bridge and close the gap between people and technology. And the topic of our conversation today is learning and unlearning in the age of artificial intelligence. Again, it's one of the topics that is very close to my heart, and it's all about disrupting the status quo. The call to disrupt the status quo has never been more louder because of how fast the world is changing. And this means you have to challenge existing state of affairs. If you maintain the status quo, there is risk that you are going to be left behind. Challenge how things are typically done. Challenge how you typically do things. That is all about disrupting the status quo. What got you here will not get you there. Yes, certain processes that you've done in the past might have worked. Certain strategic plans you had in the past might have worked, but because of how fast the world is moving, there's no guarantee that that worked in the past or that what worked in the past will work in the future. Because the future belongs to those who are brave enough to disrupt themselves and create something new. And it is quite scary sometimes to think about disrupting yourself. So you need to unlearn what you think you know so that you can relearn what you need to know. Again, before I get into it, I will share a little bit of my own journey, even when it comes to learning and unlearning. Before I came to do what I'm doing now, I used to be in the corporate world. I was working. And one day I went to work, my boss called me in for what I thought was a meeting to update him with what has been happening, but by the end of that meeting, I was jobless. And so to cut the long story short, me being retrenched, me being laid off, you know, I was told the company is restructuring, we no longer need your role, and it's something I did not see coming. So when it happened, I was devastated. To say, you know, that was one of the most difficult moments of my life would be an understatement. I was devastated, and I was asking myself, what next? Where to from here? Again, I found myself without a job, without the right qualifications, without a technology background. And as I was learning about technology, because after I lost my job, I threw myself on the internet to understand how do organizations continue to thrive when they let go so many people. And most importantly, I wanted to understand how my boss was coping without me. You know, I needed to know, like, I used to literally carry this guy. You just get rid of me like that. How are you coping? So, and for the first time, throwing myself on the internet, concepts like artificial intelligence jumped on me. For the first time, I started realizing, oh, there's a whole new world out here that I was not paying attention to. The only technology I knew prior to being retrenched would be to sit on my laptop, send emails, use my phone, make calls. There was nothing outside of that in relation to technology that I was paying attention to. And now I'm here on the internet and I'm learning that processes that used to be done by humans are now being done by machines. And that was only the tip of the iceberg. So I started writing about all of these things I was finding out on social media. Remember, I'm jobless. I have a lot of time in my hands. So I would write so many things on social media, and then people started asking me questions as though I was an expert. Again, I'm telling myself, I do not understand this thing. I'm just as clueless as many people. However, the questions that I got made me realize that I could actually learn more about this. And so I had to unlearn the mindset that I needed to come from a technology background to be able to talk about technology. So that was the beginning of my own unlearning journey, because I had strongly believed that without a tech background, I do not qualify for any of this. I don't qualify to talk about it. I don't qualify to write a book about it. And even when the idea for the book came, I disqualified myself. I gave myself 1,000 reasons why I don't qualify to write the book. I was like, I don't have a technology background. I'm not an academician by any stretch of imagination. And, you know, when it comes to technology, I don't really know much. All I know is what I'm learning on the internet. But I decided I'm going to learn as much as I can so that I can be able to empower other people. I was afraid of technology, just like many people in the house today are. But I had to unlearn that and embrace it and realize that, you know what, technology is not for everyone. Everyone is being impacted by technology. It's not just something for the tech industry. And I had to learn that my value did not come from having all the academic qualifications. Again, I discounted writing the book because I told myself, I am not an academician. There's no way anyone will pay attention to my book. So I had to unlearn that value does not come only from academic qualification. It doesn't come from me having all of the certificates. And I had to learn that, technology is impacting everyone. And because of unlearning and embracing the new way that the world is working, I've been able to build a brand on something more powerful than a degree. Meanwhile, initially I thought without a degree, no one is going to pay attention to me. And so that is my own unlearning journey. So that means there is no place for the status quo in the new era. There are people that have been using certain processes. If you look at that image, said, no, I'm okay using a spoon. Can you try a shovel? Can you try something else? No, we've been using a spoon for 5 years. Why are you asking us to change anything now? The spoon has worked just fine for the last 10 years. In fact, we've been doing this for 50 years, and you're just coming now telling us to try a shovel? If you are not willing to disrupt the status quo, you are going to be left behind. If you stick with the spoon, no matter how effective it is now, there's no guarantee that it's going to work tomorrow. Again, what brought you here will not take you there. So you have to be willing to let go of outdated mindset, outdated processes that no longer work, and be willing to transition from a spoon. The spoon could mean anything for anyone, for any organization. It could mean different things. Are you willing to transition from a spoon to a shovel? I remember speaking in Nairobi, and someone told me that, Nikki, this is not for Africa. Africa is still in the third industrial revolution. Why are you talking about all of this AI stuff? And I thought to myself, I think that AI is actually an opportunity. I responded and told him, AI is actually an opportunity for Africa to leapfrog and lead this revolution. Because we don't have so many of the legacy technologies that will hold us back. Instead of fighting it, embrace it. Right? Instead of insisting, I'm going to build roads using a spoon or using shovels, why not adopt 3D printing and build better roads faster, cheaper? Why not adopt new technologies? Anyway, I digress a bit. But the point is that unlearning is the new learning. Your ability to unlearn is learning in itself. To unlearn means you have to make space for new ideas. It's like deleting apps that are slowing down your phone. Have anyone has, when you have your phone on and then there's a notification come, this particular app is draining your phone? You have those, I've had them. I'm sure some of us have had them in the house. And then you need to, if you're not using that particular app, exactly, you need to remove it. Otherwise, it just slows down your phone. And actually, some of the reminders come and be like, you haven't opened this particular app in a long time. What's the point of keeping it? It slows down your phone. In this case, it's about your mindset. The ideas that you've carried all along throughout your career, maybe you have 20 years experience, maybe you have 30 years experience, are they still relevant for the world in which we're living? If you are not deleting those type of ideas and embracing what is new today, you are slowing down how your phone functions, and that means how your mindset functions. You will be fighting ideas that can actually help you. Look at when you're cleaning and unlearning yourself, there's a bomb right there. Did anyone notice that on the image? Right? Some people carry a bomb right inside of them. That means those are dangerous ideas. When it explodes, it's just not you it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the people around you. So you need to unlearn those ideas that are dangerous for the organization, dangerous for you as an individual to evolve in your career. If you are not willing to unlearn them, the time will come where the bomb is going to explode. So it is important that you question your own long-held beliefs. What is it that you hold so dear, even though there is evidence that this thing no longer works, but you're still holding on to it? And if you don't unlearn, you will risk becoming a blockbuster in a Netflix world. I just thought that was a cute thing to say. Anyone know what a blockbuster is? I'm sure many of us in the house know. Where we used to go rent DVDs. I'm exposing my age now. In those days, you rent, you finish, you go and return them. So if you don't unlearn, you'll be functioning much more like that. And there's no room for that in our world today. Who wants to go and rent a DVD when you can Netflix and chill, right? So the world is changing, and you need to change with it. You need to evolve with it. So I'm going to share with us a few practical ways in which you can learn and unlearn. And the mind is where the revolution begins. I could talk here for days, But if nothing happens in the mind, it would have been all a waste of time. Because the mindset that worked in pre-AI era is not going to work in an AI-powered economy. The way you used to do things in education before AI came into the market is no longer going to work. I remember being in, we had a conversation recently. I was in Thailand, and I was speaking to one of the professors from the University of, I don't remember, one of the universities in Asia. And we're talking about ChatGPT. When ChatGPT was released, the smartest way the education thought they needed to fight this technology was to ban it from schools. Anyone remembers that? Maybe there's still some schools here that are doing that. Wait, come on. You're going to leave me hanging alone? Does anyone remember schools banning ChatGPT? Thank you. You made me look like I was making it up. Hello? Yeah. So when one application that has completely disrupted the landscape was released, the education system thought the best way to fight this was to ban it from schools. And now, at the time I was asking myself, okay, isn't the school system the place where innovation should come into the world? Normally, that's how it's supposed to be, unless my brain is trying to play tricks on me. The education system is a place for learning. It therefore means that the education system should be the place where new ideas are born and delivered into the world. But somehow we see that is the opposite that usually works. New ideas are born out of the education system. And when these new ideas are trying to penetrate the education system is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, what are you trying to do? And that was what happened with ChatGPT. So many people have warmed up to the idea. I understand when a new application is released into the market, of course, there's that commotion. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to respond to it, right? So many people they realize that it's not that bad after all. You know, our kids are not just going to become so lazy. Again, back to the story of ChatGPT. If an application like ChatGPT is banned from schools, back to the conversation we had in Thailand recently, if it is banned from schools, if it is banned from universities, the conversation was, how then do we train the next workforce that will graduate, will leave schools, and work in an AI-powered world without ever experimenting it while in school, experimenting with it while in school, without ever having access to it while in school? It's like teaching computer science without a computer lab. And sadly, there are schools that have computer science classes without a computer lab. For some kids, their first time to ever play with a computer or touch a computer was actually when they started working. But they have learned computer in schools. How do we do that as an education system? How do we expect the next generation of workers, of employees, of professionals to be able to function in the world that is powered by AI if we don't allow these kids to play around with AI in schools? If we're fighting it, if we're saying, if I heard you did your homework with AI, you'll be banished from this school. If that's the type of approach that the education system is taking, the question is, what type of future professionals are we preparing? Because if we're going to ban it from schools, we might as well ban it from the workplace. If we're going to ban it from schools, we might as well ban it from the world. Because these kids, when they leave school, they will have to function in the normal world. They will have to find themselves in organizations that are running most of their processes on AI. So it is time for the education system to ask themselves serious questions. Are we really preparing the kids for the world in which we're living? Or we are preparing the kids for the world that no longer exists? The mind is where the revolution begins. When I talk of digital disruption, so many people look at it only from the business perspective, right? They look at the new business models that are coming into the marketplace and disrupting the marketplace. They look at the new apps, new applications, of course, AI that is coming and disrupting the marketplace. That is business disruption. And so if business disruption is happening in the world, there has to be personal disruption happening alongside with it. If not, the market is changing, but the people within the marketplace are not changing. If AI is disrupting business models, the people who are going to work in that world or in that marketplace need to disrupt themselves. So digital disruption or business disruption is important, but personal disruption is even more important because technology alone cannot achieve anything. Technology without humanity is incomplete. And so if the people within the marketplace, you and I, if we're not disrupting ourselves, if we're not asking ourselves difficult questions and aligning ourselves to where the world is going, it therefore means that we are on one hand and the market is on the other hand. Again, I said my mission is to bridge the gap between people and technology, hoping that at some point people get comfortable with the topics or talks around technology, because when you talk about it, people think, oh, this is for IT guys. This is for the IT department. No, it doesn't concern me. It does. It concerns you. So it is time to disrupt, rethink, reinvent, and reposition yourself. Personal disruption is about taking charge of your own evolution. Are you evolving? Or are you folding your hands and sitting and watching the marketplace change? You need to become part of the revolution. And this isn't about technology. Now, when I speak about this, people look, oh, blockchain, that can be so overwhelming. You start thinking about AI engineering. You start thinking about all of these new technologies that are coming into the marketplace. It can become so overwhelming, but for a second, just keep the technologies aside. And look at this. This is about a new era. This is about new ways of thinking. This is about new ways of learning. This is about new ways of teaching. This is about new ways of working, new ways of doing business, new ways of communicating with each other. Let's look back at 2020. The year we learned to do business meetings online. The year the phrase, "Can you hear me?" was invented. Can you hear me? That is how the world is changing. So don't focus on the technologies. Shift your mindset. Perspective is everything. The moment you start looking at it like this is a new era, then you're going to be forced to become part of the revolution. But the moment you're looking at it like, oh, AI engineering, that's for AI guys. Blockchain, that's for blockchain people. Cloud technology, that's for cloud people. The moment you look at that, oh, big data, that's for those that are doing data science. The moment you're focusing on the technologies itself, the more you are removing yourself from the disruption that is happening, the more you are removing yourself from the revolution. But when you look at it like this is a new era, you realize, oh, if I don't do something, I'll be left behind. So perspective is everything. How are you looking at this, everything that is happening? Some people are trying to get rid of the technology. Like, you know what, I'm not a tech person. I'm just going to smash this thing. It's not going to work, all right? Trying to stop technological progress is like trying to stop a river. Has anyone tried to stop a river before? You can't stop it. It keeps flowing. It's like trying to stop a flood. It's like trying to stop a hurricane. Nature will have its way, one way or the other. So if your strategy, instead of aligning and learning and embracing the technology, if your strategy is to destroy the technology, you're already fighting the wrong battle. And when you fight the wrong battle, even when you win, you still lose because you are fighting the wrong battle. Saying I'm not a tech person, how many people have you come up with something and they were like, no, I'm not a tech person. Can you go to the IT? There are people like that, right? So saying I'm not a tech person is like saying I'm not a learning person. Because no one is born a tech person. Is there anyone sitting here that the day you were born, doctors look at you and slapped on you, this is a tech person? Is there anyone here? Just checking. No one. We all had to learn. I had to learn everything I know about technology today. I had to learn it on my own. And we are living in an information age. An information age that, there's a quote by Franklin Benjamin. He said, in this ancient time, it takes a great deal of work to remain stupid. So much information at our fingertips. So much information at our fingertips. So many of us are sitting here, we are just one Google search away from the problem that is keeping us up at night. One Google search away, yet you will not search. Yet you will not Google that question. But some of us in the house, the next fashion trend, we know it. Where do we find it? On the internet, right? The next dance move, we find it. Hello, I love dancing. I'm part of that group. The next hair trend, especially for us ladies, the next makeup trend, I'm lookable, right? Hello, I also found it on the internet. But when I go finding these things, I also go finding other things about technology. I'm also having my eyes and my ears on the ground about new trends that are happening within the tech space. What is coming up? How is this impacting the workforce? But some people, we find the latest dance moves, the latest fashion in the market, the latest hairstyle, and other things that I don't want to mention here. We go looking for those things, right? But we forget to really empower ourselves when it comes to technology. We think that we just have to get rid of it. But remember, learning about AI is not about building complex algorithms. You don't have to go learn coding because like, oh my God, Nikki, you mean I have to go learn coding? Not really. And maybe yes. Why not? So get the basics of AI. Ask key questions. I remember her giving a talk and someone was like, Nikki, this is so overwhelming. Where do I start? I say, okay, start where you are. Are you in agriculture? Ask, how is technology impacting the agriculture sector? And what do I need to do differently? Are you in healthcare? Ask, how is technology impacting the healthcare industry? Are you in finance? I'm coming from speaking to one of the banks. Are you in finance? Ask those questions. How is technology impacting the financial sector? I'm aware that I'm speaking to educators. Ask yourself, how is technology impacting the education system? Not just in South Africa, globally. Maybe not even globally, continentally. What are the changes? What can we borrow from other parts of the world to implement here on the continent? Those are questions to ask. It's not about being a tech person. And by the way, if you have a smartphone, you are a tech person. Does anyone have a smartphone in the house? Oh, really? Does anyone have a Nokia? Again, I'm exposing my age. In the days of Nokia, like the iPhone of today, right? But what happened to them? They did not evolve fast enough. They were not paying attention to market trends. There's a newspaper, one of the covers of Forbes magazine, that the internet had decided it would not die. It had, in 2007, the CEO of Nokia at the time was at the cover of the magazine. I don't know if anyone has seen that. It's always trending online because the internet has decided this is never going to die. So the CEO of Nokia at the time was on the cover of Forbes magazine in 2007 with the title, 1 billion customer who can catch the cell phone king. What a day. They were dominating the market in 2007. And it is the same 2007 that iPhone was launched. But they were like, these people, you think you can catch us? But what happened to them? So your competitor may be doing things that you're not paying attention to. No one is too big to fail in this age and time. Well, education system may not necessarily fail, but the question is it relevant? That's the big question. Are we relevant? Are we empowering or preparing relevant people for the future? There are those that are like wheelbarrows. I've spoken about this so many times. You know what a wheelbarrow is, right? Does anyone in the house know what a wheelbarrow is? Okay. If you move a wheelbarrow and leave it here, you come the next day, you find it exactly where you left it. There are people like that. There are systems like that. They don't take initiative, they don't grow, they don't evolve. And for some people, they have these PhDs, like these certificates. They have experience. And they're sitting on the sidelines and they're beating their chest. Do you know how long I have worked in this industry? Do you know I've been here 20 years? No, I don't mean me. I mean, that's how they talk, right? But they're forgetting that AI is moving. is not waiting for slow learners. It's not waiting for late adopters. AI is not waiting for anyone. So you need to take an active role in your own digital evolution, in your own digital fitness, in your own career development. Because the AI revolution demands not just your attention, but your active participation. You can't sit on the sidelines. Don't wait for your boss or your organization to develop you. Those are wheelbarrow people that you have to move them. The boss has to move them and leave them here. And then go to focus on something else, come back, they find them exactly where he left them or she left them. The world is moving so fast, you cannot afford to be a wheelbarrow. That's because the other person is trying to also catch up. They don't have time to be pushing you. You need to push yourself. You need to go out there and learn about artificial intelligence on your own, no matter how intimidating it might be. Yesterday, I was at an event where someone said, but it's not easy. I was like, yeah, I know. It's not. It's not. But you have to be willing to move past the fear, the discomfort, and all of that, because you want to embrace comfort, nothing grows in the comfort zone. The world is moving so fast. We have to move along with it. Adopt a digital mindset. This means you have to think beyond traditional models. How long has the education system operated the same, on the same curriculum, on the same processes? For how long? When is it going to be disrupted? If there's one institution that is overdue for disruption, I think it is the education system. This is not just a South African issue. This is a continental issue. This is a global issue. It's happening in so many places. I was in Singapore, and I took a train. And so it was in the afternoon when kids closed from school. And so these students ran into the train. It was full, so we were all standing. So they stood next to me, a group of them, about 7 students. And they're having a conversation that my ears were like, oh, wow. So one of the students is having this conversation and telling the others, like, oh, today AI was boring. I was like, oh, wow. These are the conversations students are having in Singapore? AI was boring. What did that tell me? AI is introduced in the education system in Singapore. Meaning that kids are experimenting with it. To the point where they can come and be like, today AI was boring. You know how students talk. I stood there, as you're going and listening into their conversation, and I was like, I'm waiting for that day where my child comes back from school and tells me, Mommy, AI was boring. I want to hear that from my daughter. When is the education system going to realize we are no longer in the 1950s? How do we prepare kids? In fact, kids, the disparity between kids at home and kids in the classroom is massive. What do I mean by kids at home and kids in the classroom? When your kids are at home, what do? They're playing on smartphones. They're on your tablets. In fact, some of them, the parents have got them their tablets, right? My daughter can literally forget to eat when she's on it. And then the next day, she will have to go to school where there is no computer in sight, where she will have to carry her school bag. Oh, my God. It's like she's relocating, but it's on the books. Every single day, Mommy, my bag is too heavy. When is the education system going to digitize instead of making our kids carry all these heavy textbooks? You see a child going to school, you think they are relocating, but they're just going to school. Hello? I see some kids walking like this. When they hang it here, they can't walk up straight. Why are we doing this to our kids? Who here in the morning gets up to go to work and carry a big bag to the office like that? What do we carry? A laptop. And we're sorted. But we're making kids carry load to school in the name of textbooks. Okay, I wanted my book to be a textbook in school, so maybe I should leave that alone. Because there could be someone here who was considering that and she's like, oh, Nikki doesn't want kids carrying textbooks, so I guess we shouldn't call her. No, please still call me, okay? But you get the point, right? When is the education system going to digitize? When my kids play with my laptop and I come back to it, I'll have to be like, please, come back, put it back the way it was. Because these kids are so tech savvy, the system is what is holding them back. It's not the kids. The system is what is behind. The kids are not behind. The kids are light years ahead. They are just waiting for the right tools. And they will surprise us if we introduce artificial intelligence in schools early. In one of my TED Talks, I was saying artificial intelligence should be the new mathematics. Compulsory. You don't have a choice. The earlier our kids start experimenting with this, the better they will bring, or the faster they will bring solutions for the continent, for the country, for our communities. We don't always have to go and export. No, it's not export, it's import, right? English is trying to leave me this morning, but we're going to make it. We don't always have to import solutions from outside. How about we expose our kids early on so that they can build local solutions for the local problems we have? How about we expose our kids early on? A digital mindset, the children have it. It is us, the parents and the educators, that don't have the digital mindset. The kids and the education system are worlds apart. They were born in the digital era, but the education system was born in the analog era and has stubbornly refused to evolve in a way. No, not all of it, of course, you are here, right? You know, talking about data and all of this fun stuff. So progress is being made. Yes, but we still have a long way to go. Progress is being made. Adopt a futuristic mindset. Can we look into the future, see how trends are going to impact the world, and align the system accordingly? Can we look into the future, see how the workplace is going to evolve and change, and align our kids accordingly? Do we have the capacity to do that? Yes, we do. The question is, are we willing to do that? We need to look at the possibilities of tomorrow, focusing on anticipating and preparing for future trends. Imagine what the future could be while actively shaping it, and we have to get our kids involved. You look at countries like some of the countries in Asia, Singapore, China, Japan. The tech is world class, but they're not leaving the education system behind. They're not. We need to disrupt ourselves. Otherwise, Africa will be playing catch-up in the AI revolution once again, like we've played catch-up in all revolutions. Do we want that? The kids are the answers. The kids are the answers. The next generation is the answers. When I look at the African Union 2063 agenda, I think that's what it's called, it blows my mind. 2063, will you be here? 2063? The world is moving so fast. One application that was released by OpenAI called ChatGPT disrupted the whole landscape in 2 years. And you are throwing plans to 2063? Come on. Come on. We need to wake up. How about 2025? How about Agenda 2030? How about Agenda 2035? 2063? I'm at an African Union in Nairobi speaking, and at the end I'm asking people, you brought all of us here. Where are the kids? Where are the young people? We're sitting here, we're talking about all of these huge plans ahead, There's no teenager in the room. We need to hear their perspective. What do they think about this? What do they want? We're sitting here and making plans for people who will be alive in 2063, and none of them is in the room. We need to wake up as individuals, as a system, as a continent, and as an education system. Futuristic mindset. You cannot throw, today, even corporate strategic plans, that used to be our 5-year plan, that's too long. That's too long. Then think about 2063. You have to think as the world is changing. You think and move as the world is changing. It's about speed. How fast are you? How agile are you? If you are not fast enough and agile enough, you are going to be left behind. And I can promise you, look at Agenda 2063. I don't think there's a section on artificial intelligence on that agenda. When you find it, you know where to find me. I'm on social media. DM me when you find it. I don't think there's any conversation around artificial intelligence on Agenda 2063. We cannot afford to play catch-up in the AI revolution. This revolution is still at its infancy. This is still the beginning of it. This is the right time to get in. As educators, as individuals, as a continent, this is the right time to get in, to get on board with a futuristic mindset. Because if we don't, once again, we will be left behind as a continent. Adapt to change. It is not the strongest species that will survive, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. And that's a quote from Charles Darwin. How many intelligent people are in the house? Any chance? Are there any intelligent people in the house? Come on. Okay, I have bad news for you. It is not the most intelligent that will survive. There comes a time where your intelligence will not save you, and that time is now. There comes a time where your 20 years experience will become irrelevant, and that time is now. Stop beating your chest. Do you know how long I've worked here? You just came yesterday. What do you know? Hello? If all you can do is beat your chest, you've worked here for 15 years, for 20 years, you are not adaptable, you're not agile, you're not innovative. A person who came 2 years ago, or even 6 months ago, if they have a futuristic mindset, if they have a digital mindset, if they are explorative with artificial intelligence, they are more relevant than you. In the past, your experience counts, but not in this age and time. Experience is based on the past. Is there anyone here whose experience is based in the future? I'm just checking. Is there anyone here who has 5 years experience into 2030, perhaps? So your 20 years experience is from 2010. That train left already. The ship sailed already. The time you could boast about your experience is over. Any organization, any institution, recruiting people based on experience is an institution getting ready for extinction. Like, hey, I see you've been in the industry for 25 years. Come and join our team. That's someone who is complacent, especially those who don't have a futuristic mindset. They think only in terms of their experience. They think only in terms of their certificate. Like, do you know what university I went to? And so, many institutions today focused on the requirement for the job, which is what qualifications do you have? They completely forget about the skills. And there are many people today with the requirement for the job, but without the skills. And those with the skills, without the requirement, are being left out. if I were to apply to work in an education system today, I would likely be rejected. Like, Nikki, you know you don't qualify. Where's your degree? Where's your PhD? Where's your MBA? And I don't have any of those. Right? So, the way talent is obtained is being disrupted. But HR is rooted in the past. Bringing in people who have all these qualifications, but they are not innovative. There are people, listen. Qualifications and skills are not in the same WhatsApp group. Simply because you have a degree in this or in that, it doesn't necessarily mean you have the right skills for that job. Unless an institution starts changing the way it gets talent, there is no growth. I heard about an organization that you will not get a promotion no matter how good you are if you don't have a degree. So if you are graduated only with metric and you never really bother to go get a degree, you will stay in the same position for the rest of your life. So you see people fighting to go get a particular degree, not necessarily because they need it, they just know without this I can never be promoted. Promotion is based on a piece of paper. Hello? How about you look for people that are futuristic, that are innovative, solution givers, people that are driving solution, bringing new ideas into the institution. How about you promote those instead of promoting a piece of paper? You make people that are qualified stay in the same position for 5 to 10 years until they get a piece of paper, then you promote them. The act of life is a constant readjustment to your surrounding. You look at that image, what do you see on that image? A chameleon. Not that type of a chameleon. You know those people you call them chameleons? Those ones you can't trust? That's not what we're talking about. A chameleon changes and adapts as the environment changes and adapts. Is the environment becoming pink? It goes into pink mode. Is it becoming blue? A chameleon goes into blue mode. But with some institutions and some system, it doesn't matter what the environment is becoming. We will stick with our spoon. That's what we know. We are not changing. This is what has worked for us in the past 50 years. We are sticking to it. Forgetting that what worked in the past will not work in future. That is what killed Nokia. Just so I can remind us again. Adaptability beats experience. I think I've spoken about this. Your ability to learn quickly and pivot when necessary, stay curious, is more important than the number of years you have been in the game. You cannot rely only on past achievements. Adaptability beats experience. It's time for us to bring much more than just experience on the table. Be a lifelong learner. And one of my favorite quotes is from Alvin Toffler, and he said, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." This means that illiteracy is being redefined altogether. When we heard about illiteracy in the past, what do we think about? People who never went to school, people who are unable to read, people who are unable to write. But today, if you don't have the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn, you are considered the illiterate of the 21st century. By any chance, do we have the illiterate of the 21st century in the house? By a show of hands, I would like to count. You know what I mean. Learn unlearn, and relearn. That is what keeps you and I relevant. Anyone who stops learning is outdated, whether at 20 or 80. So age doesn't count here. You could be 80 and your mind is still as sharp. Why? Because you're constantly learning. But for some people, learning stopped the way they graduated. Like, hey, school is over. I'm a graduate. And learning stops for them. In that case, you are the illiterate of the 21st century. There to challenge your best thinking. What is your best thinking? What is the best thinking of the education system? What best thinking do you currently have? You have to challenge that. That's the only way to stay relevant. Because learning is the oxygen of human growth. Learning is like hitting a refresh button on your career, on your institution, on your mindset, on your life. That's what learning does. And unlearning is about detoxing the mind, cleaning the mind, removing things that no longer works, and adopt a learner's mindset. Because as educators, there's the tendency to think that we own the knowledge in the world. And it is a top-down process, from the educator down to the kids. In this age and time, kids are teaching teachers. Some teachers can't change their WhatsApp profile picture. They'll call a kid in the class, hey. You get what I mean? Can you help me change my WhatsApp profile picture? I just took a new picture yesterday and I really want to change it, They don't realize that learning is no longer a top-down process. Some teachers can't operate a laptop properly. But the kid in a class, give it to them. You see what they do with it. So traditionally, teachers were viewed as the primary source of knowledge. I remember in my days, I used to look at teachers like gods. I was like, oh my God, a teacher. I still respect teachers very much. I'm not saying I stopped respecting them, no. But the point is there's something now called ChatGPT. Teachers are no longer the primary source of knowledge. And that's a reality that educators need to accept. Because what ChatGPT can give a student in 2 minutes, it would take teachers 2 months to unpack. If the world is being disrupted at this rate, what does that say to educators? We need to evolve. It is time to evolve. Knowledge is no longer locked up in ivory towers. I wouldn't be able to know what I know today unless I had paid some institution and they get me certified. But the world has changed. Like I said, it takes a great deal of hard work to remain stupid in this age and time. You have to work extra hard to be stupid. If a teacher adopts a learner's mindset, then they ask questions, because learners do what? They ask questions. Hello, sir. Hey, ma'am, I have a question. That's what kids do, right? But then we find that some teachers will not ask the question because they want to portray a know-it-all mentality. I am the source of knowledge. I'm gatekeeping this knowledge. But if a teacher adopts a learner's mindset, then they start to ask themselves uncomfortable questions. And here are some of the questions. Will I still be relevant in the next 3 to 5 years? A teacher who is asking those type of questions is a teacher who is on a journey to evolving. How is technology changing my industry? How can I leverage new technology to stay relevant? These are questions that anybody with a learner's mindset has to ask, whether you're an educator or not. Do you want to stay relevant in the times in which we're living? You have to have the ability to ask these questions, as uncomfortable as they might be, as intimidating as it might be. And in fact, you just pick the question and you throw it on Google and you sit back. It leads you somewhere. It gives you answers. Like I said earlier, many of us are one Google search away to the problems that are keeping us at night. One Google search away. Think like a perpetual student, not a graduate. Don't let your degree hold you hostage. So many people have so many degrees that they can't breathe. That's a hostage situation by their own doing. So the future belongs to innovative thinkers, not degree holders. Many of the processes that are disrupting the marketplace today are not done by people with degrees. Look at the big tech companies. Look at the new AI, OpenAI. These are some kids right now are building processes in their mother's garage that is going to probably topple the education system. Meanwhile, the degree holders can't breathe. I've got 5 degrees. I've got 10 degrees. Unlearn the mindset that learning is confined to a classroom, because it is not. A perpetual student is someone on a consistently learning. A graduate is someone who has reached an endpoint. So any institution looking for graduates, you're in trouble. We want graduate. Graduate? Are you sure you want a graduate? Do you really want a graduate to work for your institution? You need perpetual students, not graduates. Graduate is not a thing. Anyone who introduces themselves to you as, I'm a graduate, run. Just go the opposite direction. You are what? A graduate. Just take the opposite direction. Anyone who says, I'm a student of life, that's the person you should work with. Graduates are dangerous. Are there any graduates in the house, by the way? We are against time. I will have to rush through this. Stay curious. Continuous curiosity, right? Read books, read articles, watch videos. That's how you stay relevant. Because curious people are always trying new things, asking questions, and most importantly, question conventional thinking. Confront complacency. Don't be that guy. You see that guy with his feet on the table? Don't be that guy. A guy who can brag, I've worked in this institution. How many minutes do I have left, by the way? 5. Oh, wow. Okay. We'll get through this. A person who can brag and say, I have worked in this institution for 5, 10, 20 years without making a mistake. That's a person who is complacent. That's a person who is not evolving. That's a person who is not trying new things. That's a person who is not progressing in life. Mistakes are a sign that you are alive. Mistakes are a sign that you're trying new things. Mistakes are a sign that you are growing. Because complacency is the silent killer of progress. Complacency will ignore trends. They don't care about the new trends that are happening within the education system. No. They don't care. And we need to redefine competence. Because the world is moving from a degree-based economy to a skill-based economy. Data scientists today are being cooked with some online course for 6 months. And you're bringing a 4-year degree in history? Where is that going to fit? Degrees, certification, and years of experience are no longer the ultimate measure of competence. And we can look at these different types of competence. Time is running. We're running out of time, so I won't get into details of what all of these entails. You know, the unconscious incompetence, which is complete ignorance. You can't get through those type of people, right? But we're not going to get into it right now. I hope you guys can bring me back at some point. But let's see. Okay. Let's see if this works. Just pay attention. It's less than a minute.
哎呦呦！
你别笑，做一个专业的演员吗？
You get the message, right? Do I have to explain further? It's clear. So if you are in a position of leadership, ask yourself, are you fostering this culture of innovation? Who are the type of people you want to work in your institution? Graduates or lifelong learners? Are you leading the change in digital transformation, or are you holding on to old ways, old models of education, old ways of doing things? And now both of you, the graduate can't help himself, the leader can't help either. And if you sit back and do nothing, especially from a personal perspective, you are going to be replaced not by a robot, not by software. You're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by someone who is learning AI and evolving. The education system in Africa, if it doesn't wake up, is going to be replaced, maybe not replaced, it's going to be conquered by an education system that is introducing AI early on to the kids. So invest in yourself, disrupt, shake things up, challenge, evolve. That's the reason I am here. I'm shaking tables I shouldn't be shaking, I know. But please, still love me after this, all right? I know. Take online courses, attend workshops, master classes, events like this, network with people who are in the industry, who understand these trends. They will push you, because learning doesn't stop when you leave school. And as we close, I want you to look at this case study of education in China. This is about having a global mindset. I mentioned earlier, what can we borrow from others outside the continent, outside the country? This is not essentially about AI, but these are life skills. You see students today, they're trying to get into the workforce and they're asking them for 2 to 5 years experience. Where did they get that experience from? If this type of hands-on education is being implemented in schools, the question of 2 to 5 years experience will be out the window. Because these kids, as they're leaving school, they will have the real life experience. They will not have to go do internship left and right to be able to have hands-on experience. Why can't this be implemented in schools across the country, across the continent? Hands-on education, practical education over memorization. And as I close, what is it going to be? Are we going to bury our heads in the sand? Or we're going to take action, empower ourselves as individuals, as an institution? Thank you for having me. Any questions? By the way, I have some giveaway for some of my books. Okay, there's a question. I'll take your question just now, sir. I have a giveaway, a few copies of my books I've got here. And it's going to go to those who have this paper underneath their seat. Start searching.
This is our Oprah moment. Look underneath your chair.
Hello! Oh my God, I get to do the Oprah moment. I love this. I love this. If you find your paper, you wave it.
Only if it's under your chair, then you get a copy.
If you find a paper underneath your chair, yeah, give it up for the gentleman over
There
there.
we go.
Hello, there's a paper over there. Give it up for the gentleman over there. Hey, ladies, what's going on?
Ah, there's another lady with the paper.
Oh, there's a lady there. Thank you.
You get a copy.
Give it up for the lady over there. Oh, and there's another guy here. Wait.
No, disqualified.
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 Okay, I think one more to go. How many more to go?
I think we've got
Are we
two more
done?
books.
Two more to go. Two more to go. Some people are trying to cheat. Some people trying to cheat. I can see you guys. Okay, I think the MC is going to sort it out for the remaining
Yes.
copies and who gets the remaining copies. But there was a quick question just before I go. 1 minute. I've been told we have only a
We're
minute.
just going to
Yes.
get a microphone.
Is there a mic?
There it is.
Bueno. Nikki, viva Nikki. I think you inspired us a lot.
Thank you.
My name is Rian van der Berg, and I live in 2024. I think we share the same address. I have a question on the digital bridge. We live in Africa. We've got realities and challenges here, and we often get stuck in a narrative of we don't have access. We spoke earlier about internet access for schools and the cost of it. We have two narratives that we sometimes don't look at the same time. We have a glaring problem of online bullying at school, yet we don't have phones to do online learning. Those don't speak to each other because my question is, do we put a ceiling, a glass ceiling over ourselves with the challenges of Africa and call it the digital divide? Or should we start exploring something called the digital bridge, where a child in Africa will have access to AI on a cell phone before he has access to CDs and a laptop and a desktop computer? Can you just give me your reflection on the digital bridge, which should be our hope, and not the digital divide that should keep us limited?
Absolutely. I love that question. And there are so many layers to it. Unfortunately, we will not have time to go into all the layers. But that's such a beautiful question. And I do believe on one hand, we are putting a ceiling over our head, right? Because yes, the digital divide is real. But also, the same people that complain about the digital divide or not having access, when I mentioned earlier about looking for dance moves, these people somehow have access when it comes to dance moves. They are able to go to the internet and get the things they're looking for. But when it comes to actual learning, they wait for the government to come in. They wait for the government to bring in the solutions for them. So I sort of believe that at a personal level, at some point, we will have to take our own evolution into our own hands. Number one of the reasons for this divide is that the government responds slowly to change. Not just artificial intelligence change, but change in general. The system is quite slow. So if you're waiting for the government to empower you, you're actually playing a losing game. Again, one of the things I talk about, even the title of my book, is Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. Because we all know how to disrupt the government. We know how to disrupt our bosses. We know how to disrupt our institutions, right? We have all of these million complaints, but my focus is more on you as an individual. What can you do at your level to bridge the gap between you and technology? Leave the government aside for now. The hairstyle you have on your hair, you found it on the internet. The government did not sponsor the data you used to search for that. The latest technology, I mean, many of us know about iPhone being released. Did the government give us that information? So we do have access in a way. On one hand, we don't have access, and that is where, at some point, the government comes in, or the private sector comes in. I mean, South Africa is better. Some parts of Africa, oh my God, it's a story for another day. So, like I said, I will not be able to go detailedly into responding to the question, but that was really brilliant. What I can say in closing is that take charge of your own digital evolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. A really inspiring way to close. Please give Nikki another round of applause. Yeah.